Hello, Dr. Coker here, and this is a guide to Asphodelos Third Circle, where you'll encounter the Phoinix. This is probably the toughest of the four, but still not too bad since we're still in normal difficulty. Let's get started. For starters, the edge of the arena is instant death if you touch it, so watch out. A few seconds after engaging him, he typically casts Experimental Fire Plume, and this will have one of two effects depending on the animation scene. If you see a ring of fireballs around him, this means there will be large but very brief AoE circles appearing in a rotating pattern around the edge, concluding with one in the center. The best way to avoid being hit is to run to the center at first, then after the first fireball hits, run to the spot where it just landed to wait out the others. If the animation is one giant fireball, just run to the edge and wait as the middle is blasted with fire. Scorched Exaltation is unavoidable raid-wide damage, just heal through it. Heat of Condemnation does a heavy AoE hit on both tanks, so they should both avoid other players until after it strikes. Phoinix does a combo with Darkened Fire followed by Brightened Fire. Darkened Fire puts 4 dark fires into the arena, and Brightened Fire puts black circles around 4 players. The 4 marked players need to move to the 4 dark fires and stay there until the cast finishes. This will destroy the fires, and any remaining fires that were missed will deal raid-wide damage. If you see right Cinderwing casting, this means the right side of the boss will be blasted with fire, and the marker for it is very brief. Just make sure you're on the boss's left side until the cast finishes. Similarly, there is left Cinderwing, where you need to be on his right side to avoid being hit. Lastly, in Phase 1, he'll cast Trail of Condemnation, a simple and easy to avoid marked line AoE across the center of the floor, which signals the transition to Phase 2. In Phase 2, there will be 2 flaming birds that have green circles on the floor, and continuous damage from blazing rain. They will later be followed by 2 more birds. The birds need to be killed with minimal overlap of the circles. They will cast Rear Carve and or Fore Carve, which will put a conal marker in front of one and or behind the other. Simply step aside to avoid the damage. When all 4 are dead, they will do unavoidable raid-wide damage with Flames of Undeath. They will then return to life as ugly floating eyes. A little while later, the Phoinix will cast Dead Rebirth, which deals its damage to everyone based on how much the bird circles overlapped earlier. This will easily be a wipe if they overlap too much. This signals the transition to the final phase. In Phase 3, the Phoinix will do everything from Phase 1, plus a few new mechanics. Fledgling Flight is a spell where 4 floating eyes will drop down, and each will cover more than 1/4 of the floor with AoE damage, spanning the entire arena. This is another one where you want to stand where the last one appears, then run to where the first one was after it goes off. Experimental Sharplume is one where AoE markers are put on all players, just spread apart to avoid overlapping damage. Devouring Brand puts 4 patches of fire around the edge of the floor that grow towards the center, forming a cross pattern. Once the cross is formed, they blast damage in a slightly larger area than they initially appear, so stay away from them. Finally, there is Searing Breeze, which puts simple circular markers under every player that they can step out of to avoid damage. And that's it for Asphodelos Third Circle. Have fun, and see you next time.